what's up? It's me, Mr. Watching Game, and welcome to my first ever game review. Actually my first review in general. It's a review that actually was pretty easy to put together, but nonetheless one I've been looking forward to for a while now. Now, games nowadays, such as, I don't know, Elder Scrolls, Witcher, they all are expected to have deep, engaging, storylines and, gameplay that, defies the next millennium of games. But then, there's a game like Portal, where the game is praised instead for its simplicity. This is my Portal review for the PC.
Valve is the company responsible for the creation of Portal and Half-Life. Both of these game series receiving critical and financial success. Today we'll be looking at the first Portal game. The first Portal game has turned into a pretty popular phenomenon amongst gamers and is widely considered among the greatest games ever made. What's my take on it? Well, tune in and find out. Story. The story in Portal starts off pretty simple. You're a woman woken up in a testing facility of some sort, forced to go through very easy to life-threatening tests by an artificial intelligence named GLaDOS. It honestly is a very good story with some fantastic writing in the mix, but I'll get into that later. As Portal is one of those games where you just need to understand it's more about showing than telling. Nothing is absolutely spelled out to you, so you might want to take that into consideration if you expected a deep and compelling story. You get that, just in due time. Graphics and sound. The graphics in Portal have stood the test of time as a game that I doubt will age at all in 20 more years. Everything is smooth and polished, and on my PC it ran at an absolutely smooth frame rate throughout the entire game. If you're thinking it's a game where the sound stinks but the graphics are great, well, you might as well think again, because Portal's soundtrack and voice work are both phenomenal, and it's hard to not love some of the wisecracks GLaDOS will come up with throughout the adventure. The writing for GLaDOS in particular makes her one of the best video game villains in existence, amongst other greats such as Albert Wesker and Dr. Eggman, who I think GLaDOS easily trumps. She's so creepy but so funny, and she did generally get a few laughs out of me. She even pokes into the Black Mesa Corporation at one point. Chell, the protagonist, is like Gordon Freeman, completely silent. The soundtrack for Portal is one of my favorite soundtracks ever to be made into a game. I think the music can really get a good sense of emotion sometimes, but the real showstopper is the game's credit song, Still Alive, which is still one of my absolute favorite pieces of video game music in history. It has a generally good feeling about it, and I can't help but start bopping my head when it gets into the more funky and upbeat parts. Gameplay. Gameplay in Portal is pretty interesting. Instead of being like other first-person shooters, Portal only has one gun for you to use. A gun which shoots two portals, one orange and one blue. The game allows you to later take control of two portals at once. Now, for those of you thinking that a way to teleport around the level makes the game flawed, it really doesn't. The walls, the floor, and the ceiling can all either be a surface where portals can go, or just be a regular surface. The game introduces some later puzzle elements into the mix, which I'll glimpse over real quick. Physics, which I would explain, but I'll let the mastermind herself take over instead.
Momentum, a function of mass and velocity, is conserved between portals. In layman's terms, speedy thing goes in, speedy thing comes out. Speedy thing comes out.
Turrets. If you go into their line of sight, you'll immediately be fired upon by these little turrets with unnaturally cute voices. It's really creepy, actually. I genuinely do not believe that turrets in real life would talk like that. They actually start to leave your blood on surfaces, which is pretty surprising for a puzzle game. Normally, puzzle games, to my knowledge, don't really have that much blood or gore. Orbs. These little balls of light which will leave you vaporized if you touch them and often need to be pushed into these mechanisms that will trigger a platform or door or something else. Lastly, there's what I'll call goo. If you fall into it, you're dead. Simple as that. I really only have two complaints with the gameplay overall. My first is that since it's sometimes hard to tell how you'll come out of a portal, playing with a controller can make some jumps pretty annoying or just make me dizzy. If you're just saying, well, just play with a mouse and keyboard, I prefer to play with the controller and that's that. Let's just leave it at that, okay? My second complaint is with the platforming itself. Now, the physics with portals are wonderful, but just jumping to another platform or jumping into a portal over a pit of goo can be a surprisingly nerve-wracking experience for me. Maybe I'm just jumping too close to the edge, but I found the platforming a little bothersome nonetheless. Those really are my only two complaints with the game, and it generally is always very responsive and controls beautifully. The portal gun can be used to pick up objects, which in midair is actually the only time I felt the dang thing wouldn't pick up objects when I wanted them to, or just took 2 or 3 tries. You can also pick up boxes to block projectiles or bullets, but I found that taking a stealthy route sometimes worked better than rushing in with a makeshift shield. But other than that, the level design is top quality and the gameplay is very solid. Every single puzzle in the game is very nicely done, and you genuinely feel sometimes accomplished. I say sometimes because there are some times in the game when the game gets a little bit too ridiculous with the cubes when you beat one. With that, let's jump into the spoiler section. Skip to this point if you don't want to be spoiled. As soon as Gladys says you finished the test and promises you cake, she instead tries to incinerate you alive. This was honestly a little bit of a shock to me, even though I'd seen it before. But seriously, incinerating you alive. That's a little bit extreme, at least I'll just say that. It's a bit extreme. You have to pull your way out of the pit and make it through the rundown aperture labs to reach Gladys herself. She's a pretty good final boss overall, requiring to be shot with several rockets and having her personality cores thrown into Incinerator where your old buddy the Companion Cube lies. She'll also start flooding the room with a deadly neurotoxin that has a time limit for you to finish the boss fight. If you run out of time, I assume you're dead. I haven't failed, so I wouldn't know. Once she's defeated, Shell will be rocketed outside the Aperture Science Labs and will be unable to move while dragged away by someone or something. Overall, Portal is one of the best puzzle games I've ever played. It's pretty short, beatable in only an hour, but the funny and creative writing, gameplay, story, and the villain herself makes it an absolute must-play for any fan of the puzzle genre or for anyone looking for a good game in general. It's cheap and affordable, so you won't have a hard time tracking it down. It was also ported later to the Xbox 360 and I believe the PS3, so not having a PC isn't going to be a problem, although keep in mind I have no idea how it performs on consoles. It's also loaded with replayability for anyone willing to hunt down every achievement in the game, or for anyone else who gets the game. It's just that dang awesome. I can easily say that Portal earns a 10 out of 10.
This has been Mr. Watching Game. I'm still alive, and I will see all of you ladies and gentlemen in the next video. Bye-bye!